Student number is A321160318, and in the 10th meeting, I would like to presentation my journal. So my journal is about teachers' dedication and passionate of Erin Ruel, reflect in freedom writers, an individual psychological approach. So in the introduction, Freedom Writers is the movie that released in 2007, and this movie based on real story by Mrs. Erin Ruel that gets some racial conflict in her regional, also in the place that she teaches. So basically she teaches in the Woodrow Wilson High School, and in this Woodrow Wilson High School there's racial conflict that happens by student to student. So this race conflict in Woodrow Wilson High School is also happen in the classroom that Erin Ruel did. And then when she realized that, she tried to find a way to solve that problem. So the methodology. So in this presentation, in this journal, I focus on the two things. The first thing is what kind of dedication and passion they do by Mrs. Ruel as teacher, and then what is the impact of dedication that Mr. Ruel has done to her student. So this study is using descriptive qualitative method. So the method is I collect the data by watching the movie and then put some data that related from my topic, and then the technique of collecting data that I have done was, the first is watching the Freedom movie and then collecting the data by take notes, and then the last is revisiting the data that has been collected into small numbers. So I found a large number and then I make it into small number. So here's the finding that I found in the movie. The first picture is when Mr. Ruel tries to find a new book for her student, because in her classroom they just have old book and there is no new book than the other classes. And then in the next picture, she try to find another help from another teacher, but yeah, they don't have Mrs. Ruel. And then the next picture, Mrs. Ruel, every day she has something new for her student to solve the problem of ratio. Sometimes she made a game, she made a quiz and anything for her students, so they can be together to play or to sharing everything. So the next picture is, in the first picture, Mr. Ruel is writing the diary of the student. So before the day, she gives diary, so if the student want to share something to her, they can write it in the diary, and then in the night she read that. And then the next picture is she convince her husband, because she has money problem, but she have to get a new book for her student, so she has to convince her husband. And then the next picture is Mrs. Ruel try to find a help to head of the school, and finally she can get some help by the head of the school. And then the next, okay, in this picture, in the first picture, she worked hard after teaching the students. She worked in a mall to sell in the store And then in the last picture is she tries to convince all the teachers so she can teach the class her class in the next year, because teachers can only teach class in a year. So the result and the discussion. So the result in the journal is there are many dedication and passionate things that Mrs. Quill has done. She never gave up to fulfill her student needs such as book, material, and experience. And then even she used her own money, she is never give up to unite all her students in the classes. I think this is one of the best thing that Mrs. Erin Cruel has. She never think about herself, she thinks about her student, because the student has more complicated, has more conflict, has more problem than her. And then after that there are very respect to Mr. Erin Cruel. In the conclusion, based off the good book analysis about the main problem of the photographs, irrational problem. So we continue the next. Sorry for the problem. In the last page there is conclusion. Based off the analysis above, it notes that the main problem of the Freedom Writers movie is the racial conflict that has been done by the student, all the students in the Woodrow High School. So to solving the problem, Mrs. Erin Cruel, with her dedication and passionate, she's done everything that can solve the problem, and in the end she can unite all of her students and they together to make a book named Freedom Writers. In the book they share everything that they've done in the Mrs. Cruel's teaching, and the book is very good. In the conclusion, with the teacher and dedication and passionate in teaching, every problem in the classes can be solved if you have everything such as dedication. So as the next teachers in the future, we have to have some Mr. Erin Cruel's things such as her dedication and her passionate, and then I hope that Mr. Cruel characteristic can be planted in every teacher in the world. And I think that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalam.